Hey guys, you're in a nutshell with me, Ina. Oh, nakita nyo ba yung title ng aking episode? Grabe, no? What do you think? 50,000 international students in Canada. Ayun na nga, no? According to a report from the Globe and Mail, ay hindi nagsipasukan. No show daw talaga, okay? No show sa kanilang mga colleges and universities. And take note, yung data po na yan, yung 50,000 students, by the way, rounded up na yan, ano? Parang 49,000 something yan. That only covers students from a 2-month period during spring. Okay? 2 months lang po yan. So, obviously, siguro, let's say, over the past year, talagang mas marami pa talaga yung ganyang incidents kung i-factor in yung mga estudyante perhaps who started during different semesters. Diba? Ibang intake. But nonetheless, kahit yung 50,000 lang mismo, ang dami nun, ano? Marami yon. Pero, nung tinanong si Immigration Minister Mark Miller tungkol dyan, ang sagot niya, no, parang ini-imply niya na, bababa na yan. Ini-imply nung sagot niya na, maaring mas mataas pa yun had they not implemented or tightened policies for the international student program over the past year. Alam naman natin, no, napakarami nilang paghihigpit na ginawa. Okay, bago natin himayin yung report ng The Globe and Mail, I will share with you first the soundbite of Mark Miller. Again, when he was asked about this report. This is from a press conference last January 15 with Mark Miller and other ministers tungkol sa border security. Pero yun na nga, at the same press conference, tinanong siya tungkol dito sa mga fraudulent activities involving the international student program.
I've heard from colleges and universities that and other institutions that welcome international students, they don't want me to do a single thing more over the next little while. I've told them quite clearly that they should not expect large major changes as we look at the impact of the already major changes that we've made over the last year with respect to the international student program. This is an area that thrives on stability, but obviously what we were seeing over the course of the last few years was not acceptable. My efforts in all this have been to make sure that each institution, particularly provincial governments, but also the institutions that are welcoming these students, exercise their obligations in making sure that the students have the proper experience, make sure they pay their tuition, make sure that they get the proper education, and perhaps migrate into the workforce, perhaps even become Canadian citizens. But it's not a guarantee. It should not be the selling point.
Okay, narinig niyo una, no? Sabi niya, no, there will be no more major changes, umano daw, sabi niya, sa ngayon, dito daw sa international student program. Major changes. Pero later on, you will hear, ano, para babawiin niya yan, magkakaroon pa rin changes. It's just that, again, hindi major. Ang ginamit niyang term later on, you will hear, is surgical changes. So, I guess, more targeted changes. Still to address ito mga problemang nagsusulputan na ngayon, no? Biglang nare-report iba't ibang mga loopholes dito sa international student program. Okay, pero yun na nga, although there will be no major changes na sinasabi niya, he was also stressing yung kahalagahan ng role ng mga local governments and other local institutions to ensure na yung mga tinatanggap po nilang mga international students sa kanilang mga lugar, pumapasok, i-track nila, i-monitor nila, nagbabayad ng tuition, basically make sure that they are complying, no, with the conditions of being a student in Canada. Pero yun, no, nabanggit niya, no, students who may eventually join the labor force, who may eventually become citizens, pero he stressed, hindi po pwedeng yun ang selling point, okay, sa mga estudyante. Hindi daw yun guarantee, okay? Inulit ko lang talaga, no? Pasensya na kayo, guys.
You're here to study, and that should be the basic premise. The article that you published this morning deals with data going into the early part of 2024. We think those numbers are significantly down as a result of the measures that we've taken, particularly on ensuring the solvency of people coming here, particularly in being a little more restrictive in the criteria that we impose for people to come here and study, including the cap.
Yun yung sinasabi ko, nasabi niya, down na yan, mababa na yung numbers na yan.
And making it so that it isn't what it currently had become perceived to be, which is as a backdoor way of becoming a permanent resident of Canada and not a way of studying at a legitimate institution. Is there more work to do? And are there adjustments? I would think certainly there are a few that I will be looking at over the course of the next few months to make sure that the system has even more integrity than it currently has. So I don't exclude it, but I think I owe it to the institutions and colleges, as well as the students themselves, to make sure that the measures that we're taking currently, additionally, will be a little more surgical.
Yun, a little bit more surgical. Ibig sabihin na nga, no, more targeted. Siguro the policy changes will be made to address specific problems. At ito na nga, no, I guess isa dito sa mga latest problems na ayusin, ito mga bagay na sinasabi nga ng Globe and Mail, ano. Although hindi na to bago, napag-usapan na rin natin to in previous episodes. In fact, marami sa inyo mga nanonood, ano, nag-share na mga experiences ninyo bilang international students, kinakwento nyo dyan sa mga comment section kung papaano. Marami talaga kayong mga kaklase na parang yung ilan hindi kilala dahil hindi nga nag-a-attend ng klase. O yung iba naman, mas marami akong nababasa na mga estudyanteng pumapasok pero parang laging absent o hindi nakikinig, biglang aalis na lang ng klase in the middle of, a class and then hindi na babalik. Mga ganong storya, no? Pero again, paulit-ulit ko rin sinasabi, ang mga Pilipinong estudyante, no, hindi uso sa atin yan. Okay? Thank God. Sige, mamaya papakita na. Ngayon na pala, himayin na natin itong, tawag dito, itong report po ng The Globe and Mail. Meron din siyang datos tungkol sa Filipino students. Hinimay niyan per country, yung mga estudyanteng compliant, non-compliant, etc. Sige, puntahan natin. Okay, this is from the Globe and Mail. Nearly 50,000 foreign students listed as no-shows by Canadian schools. January 15 published. Okay. Hindi nyo naman na ikagugulat kung anong bansa ang may pinakamaraming non-compliant kung tawagin ng mga estudyante. Sige, puntahan natin yung chart. Ayan. O, diba? Kailan to? March, April 2024. Overall, more than 644,000 students ang compliant. Ang non-compliant ay, ayun na nga, 49,676. And, ito, tira mo, of that number, no, of that 50,000, almost 50,000 rather, more than 19,500 ay galing sa India. Okay. Although, kailangan din natin i-stress. Hindi na ako magugulat na talagang silang may pinakamaraming sakali dyan sa aspetong yan. Kasi sila rin naman ang napakaraming estudyante dito. Tignan nyo, sa more than 644,000 compliant students, more than 320,000, more than half ay galing sa India din talaga. Ang dami talaga nila. Okay? Pero, alam mo, hindi lang ang non-compliant students ang dapat tignan sa mga datos na ito. Tignan mo may column dito, not reported. What could not reported mean? Diba? I assume, I guess, it's safe to assume na meron pa din dyang mga non-compliant. Kasi kung non-reported, I think, hindi nila mahanap yung mga estudyanteng to, no? Hindi nila alam kung nasaan. Posibleng hindi lang sila binabalikan. Posible rin namang nandyan lang sa school, pero for some, communication issues, I don't know, hindi nila makontak. Kaya not reported. Pero again, hindi ako masusurpresa kung meron din dyang kasamang non-compliant. India yan, no? Sige, ha? Puntahan natin ng Pilipinas. Nandito tayo. Okay, by the way, teka muna. So, ang India, ang kanilang compliant rate ay 91.1% at non-compliant rate, 5.4%. No, kung isipin nyo, 5.4, okay. Di naman, ang hirap naman talaga maging perfect, Punta natin ang Philippines. Ayan, Philippines. So, for that, sorry. Ayan, ito yung the Philippines. Okay? For that period, we had 28,373 students. Ang non-compliant ay 688. O, tingnan nyo, ang baba ng non-compliant rate natin, 2.2%. O, diba? Okay? Pero ayun din, meron din mga nawawalang estudyante, mga hindi walang not reported eh. May mahigit 2,000. Uy, nasan kayo? Magparamdam kayo guys ha, kayo talaga. Alam nyo, actually may mga ibang bansa dito. Dapat ito yung mga tutukan eh, yung mataas talaga yung non-compliant trade rin. Halimbawa, sa Democratic Republic of Congo, ang compliant nila more than 2,000 pero ang non-compliant nila mahigit 1,000. Diba? Considering the size of the student population galing sa Congo, ang daming mga non-compliant, mga hindi pumapasok. O, ang non-compliant rate nila 34.8%, 35%. O, tignan niyo tong Rwanda. Halos mag-same ang bilang ng mga compliant at non-compliant nila. Ito yan, Rwanda. Merong 840 compliant students, tapos katabi niyan, 802 non-compliant. Kaya, ayun 48% or almost half ng student population nila during that same period ay non-compliant. O, diba? Nako, ano ba ibig sabihin ng numbers na ito? This obviously shows how the international student program is being used just to get to Canada. Okay? To get to Canada, not to study, pagdating dito, bahala na, no? Ang tanong ko nga dyan, ano kaya end goal ng mga estudyanteng ito? Do they want to be permanent residents eventually? Kasi if they already are violating the conditions of their student permit, kung di sila pumapasok, ano ginagawa nila dito? Malamang, doing under-the-table jobs. Yung iba, sinasabi mismo ng India, di ba? Tumatawid pa Amerika, mga ganun ba? Basically, they're doing illegal activities. If they want to be permanent residents in the future, I don't think this is the way to go. Di ba? Sinisira nila yung any future that they might have in Canada. Except na lang siguro dun sa ilang posible ring, hindi sulputan dahil nag-claim agad ng asylum. Isa pang problema yan. Nag-claim ng asylum, ang sinasabi nila nga kasi, kapag mag-grant yan, maging refugee sila, bababa na agad yung tuition fee nila. O yung iba siguro, kung maging refugee na, they can just stop school. Ano ba? May ganun ba? Stop school and then apply for permanent residency. At the same time, start collecting all these benefits, thousands of dollars given to refugees. So, ang daming sangay-sangay nung issue, no? Ang daming possibilities kung ano ginagawa ng mga estudyanteng ito na dumarating dito pero hindi nag-aaral. It really just emphasizes the need for tighter measures sa international student community. We are not denying na kailangan po talagang higpitan yan. Sadly, tulad ng sinasabi ko paulit-ulit, naapektuhan yung mga estudyanteng wala namang ginagawang kalokohan. Diba? Ay, pero by the way, alam mo, babalikan ko nga tong soundbite pala ni Mark Miller, ha? Okay, dito sa soundbite na i-play ko, narinig nyo na to kanina, pero isa-stress ko lang. Sinasabi dito ni Mark Miller na dapat ang international student program ay hindi na po maging backdoor entry. Yan ang term na ginamit niya. Into permanent residency into Canada.
You're here to study, and that should be the basic premise.
You're here to study. That should be the basic premise. Okay, meron pa siyang idadagdag dyan. Hold on.
Article that you published this morning deals with data going into the early part of 2024. We think those numbers are significantly down as a result of the measures that we've taken, particularly on ensuring the solvency of people coming here, particularly in being a little more restrictive in the criteria that we impose for people to come here and study, including the cap, and making it so that it isn't what it currently had become perceived to be, which is as a backdoor way of becoming a permanent resident of Canada and not a way of studying at a legitimate institution.
Ayun, sabi niya, basically, yung mga changes na ginawa nila is all aimed at addressing, ito na ngang sinasabi na ang international student pathway ay naging backdoor into migrating into Canada. Pero sa totoo, yung isang iniisip ko dyan, yung term na backdoor entry into Canada, sabi niya, parang yun yung isa sa mga ina-address, di ba? Para hindi na ganun ang perception dito sa international student pathway. But backdoor entry really, hindi ba siya naging front door entry? Let's be real. Over the past few years, everybody knew what was going on. Everybody could see what was happening. Everybody knew that the student pathway was leading to permanent residency. Diba? And then you say it was a backdoor entry. The government knew what was happening. Diba? It allowed the system to persist. At ngayon, na sobra sigurong daming napapasok, suddenly they call it the backdoor entry. Samantalang dati, tuwang-tuwa sila mag-report na ang laki na kinikita ng mga, mga colleges and universities sa mga international students na yan. No, it was, to me, parang front door siya, sa totoo lang. Anyway, what do you guys think about it? Let me know, as always, your thoughts down there in the comment section. Yeah, I'll end this episode here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!